Welcome to my latest video of the Sea Max Nano Peninsula tank, 100 litres, now 5 months old. So, since the last video, I added a few more corals, another fish, so we'll come on to that in a minute. Got some problems with algae, so look at that. So let's have a look. So if we come to the front of the tank first of all, added some new corals. Got a lepto there, orange coral, really lovely, really pops. Well, more say orange, it's more kind of goldy. The next to it is an acan, that was in the previous video. You can see got a little bit of algae growing out the top of there, we'll come back to that in a moment. But actually it's popping a couple more polyps around the back, so you can't see that there. Really puffed out, so looking really, really good. As for the zoas, haven't added any more. What I have noticed though, that the rainbow incinerators, which are the ones at the front, nowhere near the colour that they should be. So polyps are out, extended, looking really, really good, but the colour, and I suspect that's because the intensity of the lights, I've only got them on for 35%, and because it's a little bit lower, I think it's shaded a little bit by the other two. So at some point I need to increase the intensity on the lights from 35, probably go up to 50, 55, but it won't do any harm to that zoa for now. So I'm going to leave it as it is until I've salted to algae. So let's look at the algae. So I've got, as you can see, at the front there, lots of stringy algae. Now that is the ugly stage, I would say, of this tank, because I put in dead rock and because I put in normal sand. And one of the biggest regrets I've got about setting up this tank is not using live sand. Previous two tanks I've used live sand, and this is probably the worst ugly stage I've had in the 9 tanks. However, it will pass, it will burn out. But if you look at it, as you move round, you've got a recordia, blue recordia, and that's really inflated, looking really good, but it's got quite a bit of algae. But the good news is the corals are looking really good, despite algae growing across the tank and sometimes growing into the corals, so it's not agitating them. And then if we move up to the higher levels, we've got the candy cane, and the top piece at the top there, that is actually split into 2. So that's a really good sign. That was the whole point of putting these corals into the tank, is could this tank deal with corals? And the good news is that one's growing, the candy cane. Obviously the acan, as I said earlier on, is a lot plumper. So here I have the new fish. It's a Cherub Angel. And if you've been on the live stream, you would have heard me talk about getting this fish out of a choice of a lot of other fish. And the reason why I went for this is, one, I never had a angel fish before. It's small enough, it's only about 1 inch, and you can just see it picking on the back wall there, which is great, because I didn't realise that they peck at algae, which is great. And hopefully you can just see the outline of it is stunning. It's got a blue outline when it's not in the rocks, with a yellow head. So it's an absolutely fantastic fish. And one thing I love about this aquascape is there's lots of swim throughs, so he can actually swim from the back, come out the front, and from side to side. So you constantly see this fish going through the rocks, out of the rocks, and I think that's probably its natural behaviour. It hangs out around rocks, lots of crevices, holes where it can hide, come out, feed, go back in again, because it's only a small fish. But I've left the green on the back wall deliberately because it does peck away. So I have been putting some nori in, but as you can see, it's continuously pecking and feeding. So I'm thinking, I'm not fussed, there's a bit of green on the back, so why not just let it feed all day long? Now, I wish it would feed on the brown algae, but I'm not too sure it's really picking on that. I think it prefers kind of green algae to brown algae. But it's an absolutely stunning fish. Now, while we're over this side of the tank, you will see there's a couple other corals in here. So we have a avatar chalice, absolutely fantastic. Been in for about 3 weeks. It's doing really, really well. You can just make out around the edges go a little bit darker, and when they do, it means it's growing. But fantastic green, really popping, really easy coral to look after, really, really hardy. And then to the right of it, we have a war coral. So this is a frag of one of the very first corals I put in my original tank. So this is probably nearly 8 years old, this particular frag, or this coral, or where it's come from. So again, war corals are really hardy anyway, but the fact it is 2nd or 3rd generation from the original coral that I've got, and the original coral is actually sitting in one of my other tanks in the sump at the moment. Not too sure what to do with it. So a really good starter coral, and being next to the Avatar, they complement one another with the greens, so you really get a nice pop across the two of them. Nice lot of space between them as well, because Avatar Chalice can be quite aggressive. And then if you come around to this side again, you can see the accordion mushroom just there. And over here is the Blasto. I think it's a Blasto, not 100% sure. So if anyone puts in the comments exactly what that frag is, that would be really, really useful. I've put it there just out of the way. Doesn't need high flow. I mean, I haven't got high flow in this tank because I still haven't got a power head, and the coral seems to be okay, so I don't plan to put a power head into it. It's got green centres, so that's really, really nice. And it's really just beginning to puff out, beginning to grow out. Struggled a little bit for the first few days, but now again, that's been in there about 3 weeks. I'm really, really pleased with that particular coral, and I just need to get some different colours around that just to bring out and to make the colours pop a bit more. And then what we're going to do here is a top-down view. Now what you can see, where the Avatar Chalice is on the left-hand side, I've put it on a piece of plastic, and what it is a frag holder from Aquaprint UK. Really, really good, but I probably need to put a coral just in front of that, because whilst it looks really, really good from the side, you really want to hide that wherever possible. But you can, it's one of the first times I looked from above, and you can really see how the corals are shaping up there. See the coralline algae. You can see what I mean there about the rainbow incinerators just to the below. The utter chaos, they should be a lot greener than that, and they should be popping. And that's purely down to, I would say, lighting. CDA can there towards the back of it. Got a coral, got a polyp growing, which is really, really good. And then towards the right hand side of it. And if we move across to the back, you can see that candy cane and how they're really popping, but also how that's split into two polyps. So really, really happy with how that tank is looking. Got some lovely colours, different colours. Just need some more corals. And there's the peppermint shrimp that's come out. However, there's been quite a bit I've seen online around, are peppermint shrimps good, bad or indifferent? And I have seen it on top of the Lepto, but I think it's been cleaning it off. But I've seen, posted something on Instagram, people were saying about it's their zoas, and it's eaten other corals as well. Now, I haven't experienced it before. I said in the last video about the peppermint shrimp eating the snails. Now, still can't prove it. I don't know if it was or whether they was on their way out. I certainly haven't seen them going anywhere near the snails in this tank now that I've got new ones, new Trocus ones. Now, whether it's because the snails are bigger or whether it was innocent and I was accusing it of killing a snail when it really hadn't, I really don't know. What I do know is peppermint shrimps, they can get confused with things like camel shrimps. So a camel shrimp does eat zoas, looks very similar, but it's got a bit more of a humpy back, hence why the name camel. And you can get other types of your corals, so it's a hard one to know. What I do know is it's a lovely, lovely shrimp, but the jury's out on this one. But you can have a look, none of the corals look like they've been eaten or attacked or nipped by either the peppermint shrimp, the angel. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching.